Today I'm going to talk about the differences between three versions, the most recent three versions of Microsoft Access, 2010, 2013, and 2016. My name is Maria Barnes. I'm the president of Barnes Business Solutions Incorporated and also of the Access Lunchtime Group chapter. And we do give informative webinars each month, the last Tuesday of each month, which is usually the fourth Tuesday, but like this month, I believe it's the fifth one. So if you enjoy this, please check the website out and the calendar, and you can join us for future meetings. So with that, we're going to get started here. First of all, I'm going to cover the items that were discontinued in Access 2010. And I do have a link here, which I'll go ahead and copy and paste onto our chat here, so that if you're on, you can also copy it from there. And then after the presentation here today, I'll also put a PDF of this presentation up as far as the PowerPoint notes on the website, and you can get on my blog there and access those, and then the links would be available through there as well. The only thing that won't be in that is the actual demonstrations that I'm going to show today, and that will be part of the video that we'll record, or that is being recorded. So you do need to be aware of the fact that we are recording today. And that'll take a couple days to be posted on the website. So there's some editing and stuff that has to go on. It's a little bit difficult for me to demo what's discontinued in Access 2010 because I don't have Access 27 up here. However, let's see if I can get this. I want the whole thing. Nope, that's not going to do it. However, I can, show you a little bit on 2010 about where the items are and what things are, what they look like right now. So I did make a virtual machine that I installed Access 2010 on and Access 2016 on, and then I'm going to demo 2013 from my computer. So let's see if I can get some windows going here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we'll see if this holds here. So the for different field options, when you're adding fields like to a form, the adding the different field options has been replaced by this this gallery here. And so this looked different in 2007. There was just like one option that said field options that basically displayed, it looked more like this right here, and then you could choose the different types from that. And so that's been replaced by this nice gallery. For the design in a form, there used to be an auto format group, and now there's this themes that you can set different themes, so things, the colors and everything look different. The calendar control that you used to use in Access 2003 and earlier really is when it was needed, has is no longer supported starting in Access 2010. They did still support it in Access 2007, but if you're not aware, if you have a date now in a table, and let's just get one on here. Let's get a field. Sorry, wrong type of field. So if you have a field in here and you define the field format to, you have to excuse me, on this virtual machine, got just a little bit of lag here on what's going on. If you just define the format here as a date, then when you actually look at the form and you go to the date, there'll be this nice date picker. And this date picker is what we used to use the control, the calendar control for, because there was nothing like that, and you would be allowed to pick a date or whatever and fill it in. So they removed support for that because it's no longer needed. You also, in 2010, can no longer use data access pages. Those are pages where you used to be able to have something where you did, just make sure that I got the right thing. There's so much here. Okay, so this is something that used to be able to design for someone to do something on the web and just access a certain table or something like that. And so that's no longer something that you can do in 2010. You can still view them, but you can't open them at all. So you can do that in previous versions. If you have like a 2007 or something like that you opened it with, then you could still view those data access pages. Or the replacement in 2010 was to move something to host access on the web, which you could do through SharePoint. And so that's why they stopped the use of data access pages. I do have in a couple of these lists here some stars, because there are some things that I'm not going to cover. You probably have heard by now that the Access web databases which were totally different in 2010, kind of a baby web access, and got much better in 2013 and 2016 as far as a more kind of teenage product, I would call it, have less than a year lifespan on them right now. They're going to be totally disabled in April of 2018. Excuse me. So for that reason, I am not going to talk about them very much today. Oh, goodness. All right. Other things that are no longer supported, Lotus 123 and Paradox 3.7 are no longer supported. So if you tried to go to external data, I believe that Paradox was supported under an ODBC database connection, and Lotus 123 used to be right here on the more list. And as of 2010, those have been removed. And then also, you can no longer open a database. You can still open MDBs in Access 2010. This is what we're looking at right here is in AccessDB. at the moment, I believe. Yes, you can see the format here is Access 2007 through 2010. But you can still open an MDB in Access 2010. And if you do so, you will see that the format of that is either 2002 through 2003 or 2000 in general. But if you try to open some of the other formats, in particular the first couple of versions of Access 1.0 and 2.0, you can't open those at all. And so you would have to go to an earlier version like Access 2007 to open those, and then save those in a later format so that you could then open them in Access 2010. You also do not get the replication conflict viewer anymore. And you will see through the presentation today that indeed replication gradually gets phased out here. And also in 2010, there is no longer a snapshot format for reports. It used to be that when you ran a report, let me up here. Oops, I've got the wrong version. I didn't want to do that anyway. Let's close that. I'll minimize that. Oh, come on. There we go. So it used to be that when you did this and you ran the report, for instance, in the print preview, that you would have an option to create a snapshot, and they've disabled that. And actually the reason for that, I'll just cover that right now, it's the next page of the presentation, is that we can now export it to PDF or XPS, which is, PDF is new and as of 2010, and that was a huge, huge plus. Because PDF is much more of an acceptable format to many people than the snapshot format was. But the snapshot format in 2007 and earlier did allow you to open a report. It was kind of like text, but not really. It was still formatted nicely. It was almost like an HTML view into a report. All right, so what's new in Access 2010? And here's the link on this. This link does have quite a bit of also, get the right Skype window open here. Yes, there we go. It has quite a bit of also what's new in 2007 mixed in with it, although it says it's what's new in 2010. So you can in 2010, and again, this is if you're in a 2007, 2010 view. Most of these things are available in that, and a lot of them are not in an MDB type format here. But you can save and publish things to access services. Again, I'm not going to say much about this. This was the baby start to access on the web, and that could have only been supported in SharePoint 2010. It was very, very limited in capabilities. So you can do that. There's a brand new macro builder. So if you go in and you create a macro, and I just started this one, but there's this lovely macro builder. Macros in the past looked kind of like a table. You would select the command over on this side, and then on the middle column you would select some of the options, and then you had like a place for comments. So it was very much like setting up kind of a little Excel spreadsheet. But now there's these actions of various types that you can choose from a drop down, or you can choose by double clicking on a browsing type window. So there was a brand new interface, you know, for that. And for like those that have multiple things, then you would get, you know, the sub options for the different pieces of the arguments and stuff. So that's brand new in 2010. Let's see. Then we have an enhanced expression builder. So for example, if you are in here in your form and you've got a field and you want to do something different for it, say you want to do a default value for it. Most of you are probably familiar with the ... That's called the expression builder. It always had this central part where you could, you know, just type things and hit OK. Now it has IntelliSense. So if you start typing, it'll start, you know, filling in with what's there. And also, if you use the drop downs and selections here for different things, like this is program flow, I think, and choose it here, you got this nice help that tells you, you know, what the different pieces of the function is, and a basic description of it. So they did a lot of improvements to the expression builder that are really very nice in 2010. Also, they've added calculated fields. And I might just say that most of the things that we're going over right now that are added in 2010 are also available in 2013 and 2016. There are a couple exceptions, and you'll see that as we go over the discontinued items. So, for example, in this table, we have a quantity, we have a cost, and we have a total amount. That's a pretty typical scenario. If you wanted to store all of these things in a table in the past, you would usually put some kind of after update event on them changing a quantity and on them changing a cost, and then you would update the total amount, and the total amount you probably would not have as something that they could, on a form, edit. But now we have something much better, and that is to use a calculated field. And when you do that, you get the expression builder, and you can do things like, say, this equals the quantity times the cost. Okay, and you gotta add a new field. Sorry, to do that, you can't do this to an existing one, but. Do this instead. Okay, and so what happens when you do that is if you enter something like then you get the total amount that fills in to $100. So there you are. Let's see what else. Then we have new database templates. So if you're going to go in here and go new, there's a bunch of new templates that you have available to you. Excuse me just a minute. Yeah, okay. So that there were probably a few that you could get in 2007, but we have tons of new ones. Some really exciting ones. There's a whole contacts template. There's a tasks template, events, students, assets. And they're really pretty nice and a great start to a new database. And then they can be modified, of course, to add extra fields, tables, whatever. But if you're doing something with any of those types of subjects, then they have a great start for you. Or save you, several hours of work at least. And they're also, I find the templates also great for ideas, how you set things up. They're fairly modern, and in general, they've updated them continually and added more over 2013 and 2016 versions. And as they have new types of fields, etc., some of the templates will bring in new designs, and you can get some new, fresh ideas out of the templates. Also, we got application parts. That's something new in 2010. So if you're going into the Create menu, you have this new area here, which is application parts. And so you can, for example, add contacts. Add some in here. Basically pulls in all the tables and forms and reports that you would need for those contacts. And it's going to take just a second here, so we're going to go ahead and go on to talk about the next thing, but you can maybe watch it over here and see what it adds. Also, oops, here we go here. So if you want, you can, when it does this, you can create a relationship between your existing things. There's none here, so I'm going to say none. But here, you notice it added the table contacts, it added a query, it added several forms for that, and then some reports as well. So you added all of that from an application part. And again, those could be modified to, whatever you wanted to do for it. All right, so the next thing we were talking about is a datasheet view. So if you've got the table pulled up here, you can do the sort, you can do filters and that kind of thing. If you've got a form, let's see, sample form in Datasheet View here. Okay, so we have Datasheet View here, which is much like Excel. We can do the designing, we can do filtering by selection, stuff like this. I think there's now okay, yeah. And I guess what they mean here is more, let's see, pulling this up over here, sorry, to refresh my memory what they've got going on here with this. Okay, so sorry about that, I'm focusing on the wrong here. So when you click on create a table now, you can do a lot of things, and it's kind of a data sheet view to create. So you can start, just putting data in here like this, and it will actually set for you the type. So you can go in here and then change that later. But if you looked at this, because this has a 2 and this has data in here, and you looked at the view, it has already created for you and saw that this was a number and that this was text. So it chose that for you based on the data. And in fact, you could go in here and you could copy and paste, say, some sample rows from Excel, and just like when you imported it, it would then assign those. And the interface is kind of nice just to design. Also, if you click on those, then you can set things like this and then name it or whatever. So this is kind of a new interface, and in some ways easier than the design view, where you get just cancel here. The design view, you get something that is with all the fields up here, and that's nice too. But maybe you don't need all this, and you just want to do basic data type, so you can get to it through the data view now. All right, field list pane. So when you are in a form and you are designing it, we have always had where you can add existing fields, but now you can show all tables. And so you could add a field from a different table on your form, for example. That's brand new in 2010. You can also use this layout view, which is, I believe, on the format here, or range rather, and you can do a lot of things in this arrange with arranging different things. You can remove the layout view, but it's nice. You can kind of grid things into different fields. If you were doing, I'm going to get rid of that one actually because it's an extra that I added. But if you added quantity, for example, why is it not? I did something else to it. Let's try that. Why is this not stacked? Usually it is. There we go. So you can stack them up, and then you can move stuff around. You can, for example, go like this, and then it just moves things down. Some people find it very helpful. Some people also find it very frustrating. So it depends upon what kind of form you're laying out. That might be a great advantage for you, or you might want to turn it off with that remove layout if you want something a little bit more specific rather than something that kind of pops into place and gets resized. We also in 2010 improved the ribbon UI, and the main difference there is the bring back of the file tab. Used to be a file menu, but before this was that button. They called it the office button, and we did not care for that. Nobody cared for it, so they brought the file tab back. And then we have some improvements to conditional formatting. On conditional formatting, we can do things like, the different rule types, comparing to other records. You can get some slider bars and in colors and that kind of stuff. And they've kept improving that in 2013 and 2016, but the interface and the capabilities for 2010 are improved from 2007 and before. And then finally, we already talked about the export to PDF. All right, so we have I do have a question about Access 32-bit versus 64-bit. I had not planned to address that in this discussion, but if we get some time in the end, we can talk about it, and then I will also add to my blog about after this a little bit about that and some resources to go to for more information about 32-bit versus 64-bit. Basically, in starting around Access 2007, when you installed Access or Office, you had to choose, which bit system you had, and we had some problems with particularly functions, external functions that you use and the interface to that, because in the 64-bit they use something called a long pointer instead of a long, and it's a bigger address because we're allowed 64 bits. Eventually, once you get to, I believe, 2013, that's all automatic, but in 2010 we did have to do some tweaking and making things a little bit different code-wise for that. So that's the basics of that. All right, what was discontinued in Access 2013? Copy this link and post it. So in Access 2010, we have a web database creation, and that particular type of web database was disabled with 2013, and anything created in 2010 web database was no longer compatible in 2013. 2013 was a whole different ball game as far as web databases, and basically the data behind it was then stored in SQL Azure, and the whole interface was different, and it got much more flexible. But again, I'm not going to go over too much about that. In 2013, they also discontinued the use of Access data projects, which were basically if you look in 2010 here, and you go and you try to go to New and create you could choose a type that was Microsoft Access projects or Access data projects that allowed you to interface directly with something like SQL Server, and you could actually edit views in SQL Server and stuff like that from there. And if you look at if you go here and go New for 2013, that's no longer an option here. So you see that that's no longer an option. And, there's really no need for it. The proper way to do it is to link your tables to SQL Server and then do all the editing of other things in there. So I believe it is something I used at one time in a couple of clients. And it was convenient, but I believe some of the links to SQL Server were kept open, and it just wasn't as secure and as quiet as doing it the way that's now recommended, which is just linking the tables. In Access 2013, you could no longer open Access 97 databases. So if, unless you're going to go to a database beyond that, if you have an older Access 97 database, you've got to go back to Access 2010 to open it, and again, then save it in a more recent version, and then you could use it in Access 2013. There's also no options in 2013 to do things like create pivot charts and pivot tables. So if you see in let's see, 2010, yes. Here on more forms, you can create like a pivot chart or a pivot table form. There's also in the queries option, if you're editing a query, you have an option to use pivot chart or pivot table. But if you go to Access 2013 and go to more forms, that's gone. And they just recommend that you use Excel, an interface with Excel, to do things like that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I actually use Excel for a lot of reporting needs from Microsoft Access data. I just find that it is often much better format and easily readable by people, and then they can do other things like make their own pivot charts, or you can actually make them and make like a template and fill that and refresh the charts data. Excel is very powerful as far as reporting goes, so I would highly recommend that. For, let's see, text data, we now have, instead of text and memo types in 2013, we now have short text, which is the same as a text field in Access 2010. The limit is 255. It can be smaller, of course. And then long text is basically a memo field, or replaces the memo field. And that's just to help keep continuing to align this with other databases like SQL Server as far as things like the data type goes. DBase support was removed. So if you go in here to external data and go to more, you don't have the DBase option like you do on 2010. You can see DBase file. However, in 2016, at least if you have an Office 365 subscription, they have recently brought that back because people complained about that. So this is one of those things where they remove them, and then if you provide feedback and you don't, something you use, then they might bring it back for you. Smarttags, I don't know if anyone knows what that is. I actually was not even aware of that. I had never used one. But Smarttags is something you can do in 2010, and I'm not sure how far back it goes. But you could go in on something like an email and go in and add something to a smart tag. There's several different types of actions you can choose for the smart tag setup. And then once you do that, if you're in, I didn't change anything here, I just clicked on it. If you're in here and editing something, you see this little information box. You can then actually open a contact or add to contacts or whatever from there. So they took that out. All right, so smart tags, they removed that. You can no longer create an Access data collection form. However, you can still process the data from them in 2013. So in the Access 2010, you can use this collect data section to create an email or manage replies. That was an Access data collection form that you could like email to people and they would fill it out and then you know, send it back via email, and it would sit there in Outlook in a certain box, and then you could process the replies through that. But if you are here in 2013, you'll see that that doesn't exist anymore. So we've just totally done away with that, and that's because of the web database piece here. And then let's see, 3-state workflow. That is something that we could do in a macro. So if we go in here and we create a macro, here are the macro commands that are available right now. You can see in the 2010 version here, we have a couple of them that are related to workflow. The start new workflow and then workflow tasks. Those both were designed to interface with SharePoint, and we've simply done away with that for 2013. And then the upsizing wizard, which is something that when you did import, let's see, when you did trying to migrate this to SQL Server, I believe, here we go, it's on database tools. So here's 2013, and you can move data to another Access database or to SharePoint. But back in 2010, if you looked at the same thing, whoops, I'm still on the wrong one here. Sorry about that. If you go over to 2010, you had a SQL Server and migrate it to SQL Server. So that would bring up an upsizing wizard. And the reason that they did away with that is that there's a lovely import-export wizard to use, or the SQL Server migration wizard, which are outside packages. So, you know, you just didn't need that upsizing wizard in Access because those were better solutions. And then there's also an Access package solution wizard that was an add-in for 2010. And I think a couple versions below that, and they did away with supporting that in 2013. What's new in 2013? I will publish this, but I'm not going to cover this part today in any detail because basically what was new in 2013 was all about Access web apps. How to get started doing them. It's very different from what we did as far as Access web apps in 2010. Fairly powerful, and so there's a lot of information about how to do that. But again, I'm not supporting it because of the fact that, just add that starter here, it's going to be no longer supported within the next year here. So there's really no use covering any details about it. Then what is discontinued in Access 2016? Nothing's reported yet, except for the web apps, which are upcoming April 2018. So everything basically that was added in 2010 and not part of the list here in 2013 that was discontinued is still available, and they didn't discontinue anything in particular for Access 2016. It's kind of just a run-on and an extension virtually of 2013, which is good. Okay, so we're starting to get low in time here. But this next bit here, and I'm just going to display them quickly, and give you a couple links here. But this is split into two sections. This first section, and both of the sections you can find under this link here, which I'm publishing. I have a question. It says, what did I say is coming in April 2018? And I did not. What is leaving or no longer being supported in April 2018 is Access web apps. So if you have a web app designed to be run off of Azure and as an Access web app, you can publish them to a SharePoint site. Once April 2018 rolls around, you will no longer be able to use that. So you do need to, if you have any existing applications that are using that technology, you need to migrate them to another solution, whether it's an Access desktop solution or a .NET solution of some kind with SQL backend, something else besides Access web apps, because that will no longer be supported as of April 2018. Okay, so the link here gives us two sections, and they're both in this same link here. But the first section is available for all users of Access 2016, including those without an Office 365 subscription. And so what has started to happen as we're moving to Office 365 is, instead of there being items that are released with each Microsoft Access version, like 2010 had certain items, and then we discontinued some in 2013 and added some, and discontinued some in 2016. It's a gradual adding. So the second set of what's new in Access 2016 is only available, this set here, to those with an Office 365 subscription, because there's essentially a tie-in to your subscription. These new updates then get loaded to your version of Access as they come out and as they're ready. And it's every couple months, I guess, that they've been adding new things. So those are available to you if you have an Office 365 subscription. If you don't, if you have standard Access 2016 without a 365 subscription, as far as your, you just got one of those lovely keys that give you your rights to have your Access 2016, then you will have these, but you will not have the ones on the second page. So for all users, we have this new, let me go to that version here. Maybe. Here we go. All right, we have this new section, tell me what you want to do. And so you can just type things like I said, create table. And if it can tell from that what you want to do, it just starts doing it. And it's just supposed to be kind of a help for you, so you don't have to remember, oh yeah, I need to go here, and then I need to go here. And so it's kind of like the Windows 10 little search bar that will help start things, a lot like that. Then we've got new themes. So for an option here under General, there's some new themes, colorful and white. If you were to look at Access 2013, you would see white, and then there's like a gray and black or something like that. That would give you that. Export to Excel option from the Linked Table Manager. So we have link table manager. Let me get out of here. I don't have link tables in this one, so that's why let me go ahead and link up to an Access. I have an MDB on here too, I think. Nope, I can't link to myself. Let me just create another copy here.
Maria?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that the link table manager is in database tools, if I'm not mistaken.
No, not anymore. It used to be.
No?
It's in external data, and it was there. It just wasn't highlighted because, see it here? It wasn't highlighted because I don't have any link tables. So the versions of Access, the later you get, will show items, but if you cannot get, or if you can't use it because of the context, then contextually they will gray out. So I'm going to go here and link to this database and this table. So I got a link table option here. So this one's linked, and you can see that the link table manager now highlighted. So apparently what you can do now from these is this now export to Excel. And it's a new feature, and you can just, let's see, I'm going to call it linked tables. If you had a bunch of these and they were linked to different things, different databases or something like that, then...
can you export it to an already existing Excel file?
I would imagine. I haven't messed with it very much yet. I don't know why that table or that is not there. Let me see if I can get Excel to come up with it so I can tell where that went. I have a totally slow operation here. There we go. Yes, yes, be patient. Oh, here it is. It's opening itself. That's nice. Maybe it was just taking a while to create. Again, I'm on a virtual machine that I created on Azure, and so now why does this just say source type and it doesn't have my link table? I don't know what's going on, but I think it's supposed to name the table and the source and the type on here. So you'll have to play with that. It's possible it's not working right, but that's supposedly a new feature. So that if you had a lot, you could manage that, would be the idea. All right, we're getting really close here. We do have some new, some redesign of database templates. The show table dialog, like if you're creating a query, and this is actually kind of exciting to me. This is larger. You know, I don't know if you remember back from 2013, but this was quite limited, and you'd use a scroll bar. So we've got some bigger size here. There's 19 new Access training videos, and I'll paste the link to that. And then newer things, if you do have an Office 365 subscription, there's accessibility improvements. Those would be for, you know, handicapped of some type, control improvements, and also in the Datasheet View, some more accessibility improvements and different options for that. The macro designer has some improvements to the drag and drop portion of it. It always theoretically could do that, but it was pretty flaky, and so they've just made some ease of use improvements in that. Same kind of thing for resizing pop-ups, the relationship window, which is where you build relationships between tables. Let's see what else. And the query design view, just kind of, you know, different things with redesigning and the flow in those items. And then if you are in properties, and this can be kind of exciting for some type of fields, but you know, you've got in, you know, one form a bit where you've got, you know, different tabs here that will give you a subset, but those subsets are still pretty big, and I know I find myself saying, oh, I know you can do, you know, whatever you want, like maybe there's something here that is down at the bottom, you know, something like, let's see, I think actually things like that drive me crazy are things like can grow, can shrink, for example. They're way down here on the field, the format bar. So now you can actually sort these. So let's see, it's this button here. So you can do it on any one of the tabs, or you can do it on the all tab, but you can sort them, and then you can get to something, you know, that you know is, you know, can grow, can shrink. Oh, here it is, you know, because I know what it's called, or basically what it's called. I just don't remember where it's at because, you know, without that sorting, they were in who knows what order, some kind of logical to Microsoft order, but now you can make them to be sorted alphabetically. They did, let's see, oh, they also put a retry on ODBC connection, and that is exciting. If you've got something connected to an ODBC database and you lose your connection, then basically you, in the past, you either had to exit Microsoft Access and come back in, or you had to have smarts in your database, or maybe a button that says, you know, connect again. But there's like an automatic retry that is now goes on if you're trying to access something and it says it can't connect. So that's exciting. And they brought back the support for DBase. On the file menu, you can directly, double click in here, go to the feedback for Microsoft if you want something new, or if something's not working right, you know. For example, Giorgio says he doesn't see how he can export to an already existing Excel workbook. I'm not sure if that's available or not. I haven't looked at it, but if you can't, then he could go to feedback and say, you know, I'd really like to be able to do that. And maybe they'll put that in as a new version soon, or into one of the new options soon. And then last couple things, because we are actually technically out of time here, so I will let you go in just a second. The Access is now included in Office 365 Business and Business Premium plans. It used to be you had to get to the higher level plans to get access with Office 365. And now we have a new large number data type. It's designed to parallel SQL Big Int. So if you go to a table and you're trying to design a number of some kind, we have this new number, and it's a large. Oh, let's see. I wonder if I have it. Integer. Maybe it's the long integer. Let me double check to see if 2013 has that. Yep, it's a long, number. Oh, that one's long integer. I'll get back to you on that one, where that one is. So maybe that's coming soon, and I just don't have that yet on mine. But I'll put that on the blog as well. So thank you very much for joining us today. And we do have a summer break from our sessions, but join us again in September. Whoever that is, could you mute, please? And our event calendar for September, we have a guest speaker. We'll get to that here. So for September, we are going to be talking about integrating Access with Power BI. We have a guest speaker for that, and so please join us for that. Looks like that is September 26th at noon Central Time. So thank you so much. New June topic. We're going to take a break for June, July, and August. So we'll be back in September with integrating Access with Power BI. Thank you so much.